if you got to give them three pieces of advice off of what you've learned, where do you start? What are your three?
I think the main thing is, well, the three things are going to be positioning, publishing, and pricing. Those are the three things.
You know what? I absolutely love when you meet somebody and it's like Jonathan Stark. Like, it's as if we've known each other for decades. Like, you've been on your journey, I've been on my journey, but we're kind of fighting the same fight here, granted in different arenas. Am I making this shit up, or are we on the same page here?
No, I love it. Yeah, it's totally true. I mean, this is like the second or third time we've talked, and every time it's like old friend feel to it. And it's happened to me a few times when people have all kind of like dug through the fog and found this thing, and it's like, oh, we're all kind of like, climbing through the woods looking for the same goal. And you just automatically can talk to each other about stuff that goes way back, even though we never met.
Well, I think it's because we've kind of been on the same journey, and you correct me if I'm wrong here. Like, I think we both, and again, we're only in intro land because I want you to introduce yourself because I think there's a great story there. But like, it wasn't like I'm so smart and I see white space. It was like, hey, I'm dealing with this pain, right? And this pain, why am I dealing with this pain? So it's like I acknowledge the pain, and then like, well, what am I going to do about the pain? And then once you kind of get through it, you realize, wait a minute, I can't be the only person on the planet that's feeling this. And so I'm so happy you're here. And, you've got your podcast, which, full disclosure, I've been on the Jonathan Stark podcast. This is not like we had a contract and we're going to swap. Like, we actually like each other. And I love that you get to share your story with the audience. Can you just talk about like who you are, how you got here, what you do? And I'm just going to get out of the way.
Yeah, sure. So I am a former software developer. Now I'm on a mission to rid the world of hourly billing. And that story that you're referring to came from back in 2003-ish. I started working at a consulting firm. We had about 10 employees. I worked my way up there and ended up being the VP around 2005. And so at that time, we were doing primarily FileMaker development. This is before the web there's web development was happening, but we're still talking like early PHP 3 days. So we were mostly doing FileMaker, a little bit of web stuff, and we were billing out a bunch of developers at $150 an hour. And once I was at the VP level, I was doing things like one-on-ones, and I knew everybody's salaries, and I was doing most of the proposals, and all of our proposals were based on hours. Like, we think it's going to take this many hours, and times 150, it'll probably cost about this much. And inevitably it would go over, and then I'd be fighting about hours with clients, and it was just hours all the time. Devs, get your hours in, and like thinking about hours for proposals that I knew were going to be wrong, and then fighting about it later. It was just hours all the time. And I was constantly thinking about how to make this better. What can I do about this? It was torture. Dealing. I mean, if say a freelancer is listening and they just deal with their own hours, imagine dealing with the hours of like 10 people besides yourself. So I was coming up with systems to make it better. But eventually it occurred to me that, that I knew everyone's salary. So it occurred to me that our best developer, who was making close to $100,000 a year, we were probably barely breaking even on him because he would finish things so fast we could barely keep him busy. He would just kind of like nail stuff immediately. And that seemed great. Like, that's what you want. Like, you have a good developer that can do things really, really quickly, really well, high quality in a short amount of time. It's like, that should be a good thing. But then I would compare that to this junior guy that we had who was kind of like an intern. We were sort of grooming him for a career in the space. And he was a super nice guy. He had a great bedside manner with the clients. They loved him. But he was really slow, and he needed to do things like 5 times, and it took forever to get stuff done. And we were paying him half of what we were paying the guy who was really good. So I was like, we're printing money with this developer who, we're kind of doing a favor just giving him a job. And then this person who we were lucky to even be working with, who could have gone and worked anywhere he wanted, probably not even making any money. And I was like, that's that. I was like, no, I must be thinking about that wrong. I'm started doing all these mental gymnastics for like, how can I justify to myself that we're not making money on this person? You know, like, oh, he trains other people, he trains the other devs and makes them better. But then I'm like, yeah, but then they're better and making less money. You know, it's like, no matter how I looked at it, I couldn't figure it out. And then like 2 weeks, it took me like 2 weeks to finally look at the business model and say like, wait a second. If we were giving fixed prices for projects, then everything would instantly align. Everything would instantly align. All of the, you know, the best dev would be the most profitable dev. We wouldn't be fighting about hours anymore. We would, you know, our estimates would be a completely different approach. They wouldn't even be estimates. They'd be quotes. And everything just fell into place for me. It was like a flash. It was like an epiphany. I probably like gasped. And once I saw that, I went to the boss and I said, you know, we were good friends and we're still to this day good friends. I was like, we got to stop out, you know, billing by the hour. It's like, this is every problem that we talk about, you know, when we would have our meetings and stuff, it's all from that. So he was like, okay, I get that intellectually, but how would we do it? And, you know, in fairness, I had no idea how to do it. It just occurred to me that we should do it. So rather than risk everybody's livelihoods trying to figure out how to migrate a 10-person firm from hourly billing to something else, I went solo and I'll just put my own skin in the game and risk my own mortgage. And it worked out great right away. It worked out amazing.
What year is this? Like, what year do you think this is?
That was 2006. It was 2005 when I realized it, and I started my business in 2006, January 1st.
Do me a solid. I mean, because first of all, give me the purpose statement again to rid the world. I mean, there's some drama
rid
there.
The world of hourly billing, right? Because the thing with hourly billing is, well, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I do. I want to. When you say it now, because you've been doing it for so long, it's sort of like. So I went out on my own, and I mean, when you're back in that moment, how painful was it, or how frustrated were you? Is there like an x-axis of pain and a y-axis of frustration? Because you're an entrepreneur, you didn't write a business plan, I don't think, at the time. You just felt it was wrong and had the courage to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that was my first time going solo. Like, I had never freelanced before. I basically went from a corporate job where I was doing FileMaker development to this firm that was, a consulting firm that did FileMaker development. And then I went solo in 2006. So it was my first. So yes, there was some fear there, but there are a variety of reasons I could go into where I wasn't too nervous about the business thing, but the pain and the frustration were through the roof. I loved everybody I worked with, but the job stunk because it was constant. I was constantly, estimating hours. I was fighting about hours. I was whipping the devs to get their hours in so we could send out invoices. It was awful. It was all I did was like hours.
I'm sort of, this is where you wish you had video, because you could see my face, and it's taken me back to old surveys at my last large company where the positives were people stayed for the people. They loved the people. Yep. Which kind of sort of sad. It's like kind of a punch to the face as one of the leaders, right? It's like, well, we love the other people. We don't really love the choices that the leaders are making. But to get back into it. So we do, I think we spend an insane amount of time talking about time, justifying time. I have all my little pithy one-liners, and I truly believe if you want to be a good teammate, then you need to learn to be a good time mate. And that, again, it's not about selling time. We're in the business of selling ideas or selling change or selling a shift. If I've been doing this for 20 some years, I've been going to that mental strategic gym and lifting those weights. Shouldn't I be charging more? Shouldn't I charge more than somebody who's been doing it for 2 years? And why is there so much fear in this space?
Yeah, well, because it's the way it's always been done. as long as we've been alive, that's the normal way. So to do something different can sound terrifying, and in fact, it is risky to switch off of hourly billing. One of the reasons why hourly billing is so attractive to so many people is that there's no risk. Like if you put in an hour, you get your $100, whatever it is, your $150. But if you take no risk in a business, what do you get? No reward. So you end up on this gilded hamster wheel of, doing pretty well, but, maybe you're doing like low six figures or maybe mid six figures. But you start to realize, you start to feel like the people that I was describing earlier, where I've got my sort of junior developer, because you start out as a junior dev, you kind of stink. So you're making like good money. But then as you get better and better and better, you're like, well, I'm working harder than ever, and I just never make any more money. It feels like I'm making less money, because you are. Because you're basically finishing things faster, so you have to get more clients, so you have to do more biz dev, because you're banging through stuff so quickly. And you're like, suddenly you realize that hourly billing punishes expertise. So as you become more of an expert, you get more and more punished.
So I think already there's been 3 shifts in your life that we've sort of talked about, right? The shift one was I'm working for the man or woman, right?
It was woman, actually. Yeah.
Right, I'm working for the boss, and this seems off. Hey, I'm gonna bring it up. I'm getting nowhere, right? Okay, shift. So that's the first shift. Right. The second shift, when you first leap, you're a software developer. You're not, right? You're not counseling others on how to maximize billing. So you stay in software land. Talk to me through that first. I mean, you've been doing this for 15 years, by the way. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. So talk me through that first shift. You jump. I am now a software developer. I'm not charging hourly, and if you don't like it, there's plenty of other software places to turn.
Exactly.
Is that the mindset?
Yeah, but I had so if we talk, so it depends on how far back we go. When I was at corporate land, I was working for a wonderful female boss who couldn't get me the raise that I wanted, and so that was a key piece of my desire to look for something else. But also there were things going on in my personal life that made it interesting to me to make a big change. So there was a mix of reasons, but I was actually not scared at all of jumping from corporate world into the consulting firm space, because I was really excited about learning how that worked. I had no exposure to that ever previously. And it meant moving to Atlanta from Boston or Providence. And it was great. It was super fun. The boss was great, and I learned a ton. But then that's where I ended up stuck in the hourly billing trap. And then when I made the jump to solo for the first time, again, it was more exciting than scary because, again, I had personal reasons I wanted to move again. Because remote was a thing at the time, but it was nowhere near like it is now. You could work remotely, and we did, but it was not normal. And so I wanted to move back home, to be around my friends from back home, and so in family and stuff. And I really wanted to do this experiment of like, how am I going to switch from hourly billing to my solution at the time? The first solution I found was called value pricing. So I was like, I'm going to switch to value pricing, and I'm going to just figure it out. And I wasn't super nervous because I had such a good relationship with the owner of the consulting firm that we worked out a deal where I brought a couple of clients with me and we split the money. And he even like sold me my computer, so I didn't have. There's like no difficult transition at all. And I was just like, yeah. So I had a safety net basically where I could do this experiment, and I felt like I had enough runway to figure it out. I found this one book in particular that was called Value-Based Fees by Alan Weiss that I used as my Bible for like 3 years. And it worked instantly. It worked. it was like immediately I was like, wow, all of the frustration that I was having about having to deal with hours constantly was gone, instantly gone. That first year, I did really well, better than I would have with my salary. It's kind of apples and oranges because we're talking salary versus revenue. But yeah, like the client relationships completely transformed right away because all of a sudden they weren't freaking out every time something took longer than expected because it didn't cost them any more money. So all that pressure was on me to be awesome. And I had a really high degree of confidence in my skills at the time. So yeah, so I was like, yeah, I can nail this. Like I would look at the project, I know exactly how to do this, and there'll be some surprises, but not that bad. So I'll just give you a price based on the value of the outcome to the buyer. And they're like, great, 100 grand, whatever, 200 grand. Yeah, do it. Let me know when you're done. Be like, great, I will. And I just finish as fast as I could to deliver a quality product and everybody's happy.
All right. So when do you get to, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of a problem that a lot of people have. And,
yeah,
what, so you go '06 to what? I mean, '06 to how many years? You're a developer. Like what's the next shift?
So the next shift came, well, what happened was I was doing great at the solo thing, and then I wrote a book in 2009 that really took off, a book for O'Reilly that was really popular because I caught the mobile wave at the perfect time. So that got me just tons of leads, tons of big consulting jobs. So over time, I switched from 2006 to roughly 2010, early 2010. I called myself a consultant, but I was mostly coding, some strategic stuff, some architecture stuff, but then I would code it, I'd build the software. Then after the book came out, I was attracting a lot of really high-end customers like Cisco and Staples and, you name it, like Fortune 500s that had CEOs or someone far up the food chain that was like, mobile's the new thing, get us a guy that knows about mobile. And I had like one of the first books about it. So that got me into consulting proper. But there's another thread that's happening this whole time, which was that when I left the FileMaker community in 2006, I was fairly well known because I wrote for the magazine and I would speak at conferences and stuff. And I had a lot of friends, and they were like, "Are you crazy? You're leaving one of the best firms in this space to go solo. What is wrong with you?" And I would say, "Well, I'm gonna ditch hourly billing. Like, it's got to go. I can't do it anymore." And they were all, polite to my face, but I'm sure behind my back they were like, "That's not going to last." But then
that's what friends are for, right?
I'm just imagining that, but I will tell you that 2 or 3 years later, those same people are seeing me still happy as a clam, and they started asking, "How did you do that? How did you make it work? Are you still happy with it?" And they started bringing me to the same conferences where I used to talk about software development. They'd bring me to talk about business stuff, which was not normal. It was not the kind of thing that usually happened at these conferences. And one year I was invited to sit in on like a panel discussion and a side track, and the room was like jammed. It was jam packed with people who were like, how did he do this? And there were some people who were pro hourly billing, and then I was the anti hourly billing, and there was a facilitator. And in the talk, I convinced the hourly proponent that he was wrong, and he switched, and he became a big value guy like immediate. Like, I don't know if it was immediately, but he completely transformed his business after we had that discussion. So a lot of people were like, teach me. So they'd ask me questions and invite me to talk at meetups. And there was one particular meetup in Boston where I was like, I gave the prezo, just kind of, it wasn't paid or anything. I was just like trying to help these people out because I can't stand hourly billing. And they had a ton of questions at the end, but we had to give up the room. So I said, well, what I'll do is I'll blog about this every Monday for the next, I don't know, until I'm done. I figured it would be like six articles or something. So I ended up writing like 20 articles over the course of the next few months. And so those two threads were happening at the same time. So people were asking me how to do value pricing. And then my consulting business was where I was getting all my income from the mobile consulting stuff. And that went on until 2016. And finally, I went, mobile had hit the top of the S curve. I was getting bored of it anyway. People were still asking me about, value pricing and how to ditch hourly. And so I published a book of essays on it in 2016, and there's no turning back from there. I went full coaching and training and pivoted completely.
All right. As much as I would love to spend this whole like podcast, because we could, like, I'm with you. Like, it is absurd, like, to talk about hours. It's lowest common denominator. It is a CYA tool. I get it if you're on the other side, why you'd want to do it. It's almost, I wonder how many of them secretly know how absurd it really is. You would never go into a store and start negotiating a pair of shoes or a Louis Vuitton bag or whatever it is your thing is. And yet we do this. But that's not what this podcast is about. Like,
yes,
what I love about the way you've chosen to live your life, Jonathan, is that you just keep going. Like, you're nonstop. You're curious. Your action is, sometimes it's a blog post, sometimes it's a shift in profession, sometimes it's, it's a Jerry Springer moment where you're turning some right. It's like instead of the anti-vaxxer, the anti-hour guy into the You see where I'm going here. By the way, if you don't know who Jerry Springer is, Google it. I know probably, but like, so give people, if you're going to give people, this isn't about the hour. Who are listening right now, and this is a show about courage, and I'm putting you on the spot. Like, we didn't swap questions here.
Right.
Give them 3 pieces of advice on their careers, on what they should be doing. Again, if you're going to be listening to this podcast, let's agree that you're probably a curious soul. You probably like to work, and you're not afraid of work. But like, if you got to give them 3 pieces of advice off of what you've learned, where do you start? What are your 3?
I think the main thing is, the 3 things are going to be positioning, publishing, and pricing. Those are the 3 things. So positioning is probably it's the foundation of all of them. It's like, be the one and only for something. If you are just one of many, you're dead. You need to stand apart from the crowd. And that it's almost like anti-evolutionary. It's like, no, if I stand apart from the crowd, I'm going to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. And your brain will still react like that, but you have to stand apart from the crowd. If you are not different from the next freelancer on Upwork, the customers are forced to look at the only thing they understand that differentiates the two of you, which is the price. Or it's probably not even a price, it's probably an hourly rate. And so they sort by hourly rate, and they pick the second cheapest one, or some combination of ratings and price. And it's not even a price. I hate to even say that word. It's a rate. It's meaningless. So first thing is, position yourself as the one and only for something. It makes you way more memorable. It makes you, it makes it so that people don't see any other options to hiring you. You become the only one. Like, this is the obvious choice. Like, we have to go with this person. So positioning is, we could talk for hours about it. I've got an entire book about it, but yes, so there's that. The next thing is publishing. So by
the way, bravo. I have to commend you because you're an engineer, and I think you're a coder. Okay. How many coders are there? Like, give me an hour, like, in America, if you had to guess.
A million.
Okay, how many?
Wild guess, yeah.
Wild guess. Let's say it's accurate. What % of that million likes marketing?
Yeah, I know. I don't even use the word marketing when I'm talking to software developers.
I mean,
I see. They hate it.
Positioning is marketing.
I know. That's why, but they don't hate positioning. I know. That's why I say positioning.
So. Okay,
I know my audience.
We're now moving into publishing. Well, that's interesting too.
Yes.
So, was part of your publishing experimentation recognizing that, oh shit, my audience doesn't like marketing, but they'll buy positioning? Or did you know it going in?
Part of it. Well, I knew it because I was a developer, and I thought marketing was pure. I was a dev, and I'm like, marketing is snake oil, BS. Used car salesman, always be closing, hard sell. But the problem was, I only recognized the bad marketing because that's the kind that you can see. The good marketing, you can't see it, so you don't categorize it as marketing.
I like that.
Yeah. So positioning is sort of high level strategic marketing, and it's your strategy. So, and it's easy to understand why it would be great to be known as the one and only whatever. As long as that's desirable to somebody, they're going to see like no options. I'm like trying not to diverge into my max price formula, which is a separate conversation, but it's very important to be perceived as the one and only, or at least one of very few number of choices for the thing that someone desires. So that's super important. The publishing thing. Okay. The publishing thing. Yeah. You need to be writing and speaking all the time. So you need to be doing, it could be a podcast and a mailing list. Those are my two favorite. It could be speaking at conferences remotely or in person and writing a book a year. It could be a vlog that is your speaking thing, and it could be that you're a blogger, or you write on Medium, or you're prolific on social media and your giant tweet storms and threads. But you need to be writing and speaking all the time. If you're building some kind of an expertise-based authority business, which probably anyone listening is, probably no one listening is like, I don't know, running a chain of laundromats. Maybe they are, I don't know. But if you're running some kind of an expertise-based authority business, you need to be writing and speaking all the time. So that's publishing. So I don't mean like publishing books, although that's in the category. I mean it broadly speaking, you need to be putting your ideas in public and road testing them.
All right. And I think I'm starting to pick up your process here. So basically what you just said was you advertise, but you can't say advertise because your market thinks that's snake oil, correct? But that's basically advertising.
It is not advertising, though. Like advertising, it has the same effect as advertising, but advertising is paid ads.
Oh, I'm rolling up my sleeves for this one. I completely disagree. I think shitty advertising, right, is paid ads. I don't think it's any different than what you said about excellent positioning that's sort of invisible. Like if it's really good, to me, I think what you just said is like you're an expert, you happen to be on a stage, that the stage is the vessel. What's coming out of your mouth is actually landing with people. How is that any different than advertising?
Because advertising is an interruptive medium. So it's semantics. Like I get what you're saying, but I would never even think like I do when I say positioning, I'm like, that's strategic marketing. When I think of educational content marketing, publishing every day, it's not, I mean, I write a mailing list every single day. It's not advertising. There's no way to categorize that as advertising. Does it increase awareness in the marketplace? Yes. So if you want to call everything that increases awareness in the marketplace advertising, then I agree.
I think this is officially our first fight, but it's a good one. It's like, I think we're saying, I'm kind of being an asshole. It is. It's semantics because I've definitely been like I'm selling to you. I'm selling to you. Now it's not devious. I'm actually trying to help you, right? Like if I can provide value where you don't see it, it's not a devious thing. You can make a case that that's advertising. So in the spirit of not rocking this whole boat, you're right. It is semantics, but and by the way, I totally agree. Like I love like getting on stage and sharing what I learned from really smart people. That's all we're doing. I'm doing, at least. It just happens to I just get credit as the expert, but I don't see it as a soapbox thing. I see it as like, hey, here's how they're doing it at Amazon or Google or Domino's. Right. Why aren't you? You can do it too if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah. If you want to move on, we can. But if I would never teach it to a student as advertising, because that sets up the wrong. Because then they're going to be looking for results immediately. They're going to be like this, tracking, and it's like, no. If you just trust that people will end up buying your book or your course or your membership program, if you help them every time they encounter you, then I just can't bring myself to call that advertising. It's like, but again, it's like, yes, it functions the same way because it gets you business, but advertising to me is a very specific thing, which maybe I don't do it. So I guess I do it, but under your definition. But I think it's critical. I think it's critical to realize that every interaction you have with your audience, they are paying attention. They are spending time to listen to you. It is a transaction. And if you give them positive ROI on that transaction, they will be happy. They will come back for more. And eventually some of them will buy your stuff. Not all of them, probably almost none of them. But if you make enough to fund your mission and keep coming back the next day, then you're good. It's all you have to, you don't have to worry about, are these ads performing? You just be like, look at, what do I need to do? I just need to write and podcast all the time.
I love that, paying attention, spending time. That's good stuff. Cool. All right. So the third P.
Pricing. Do not bill for time. You set a price. So I actually do a comic every Sunday with these sort of animals that are, there's one's kind of like a freelancer and one's kind of like, a high-end consultant. And there's like sort of a dopey turtle that's a client. And they get into all these situations and on a good week, it's pretty funny. And the freelancer, the dog, is like, the snail asks the dog, what have you ever priced? Like, do you ever price anything? And the freelancer, the dog, says, yeah, I price stuff all the time. I sent out an estimate yesterday. And the dog's like, the snail, the consultant's like, that's not a price. That's an estimate. An estimate is not a price. And so the dog says, I can't keep the dog and snail straight, but the consultant is like, so I'll drop it. But the idea is that freelancers think that by sending out an estimate, they've given a price, or they think that by giving their hourly rate, they've given a price. But that's like saying a shingle costs $1 and I've given them a price for the roof. Like, no, you haven't. You've just told them that, if you give an hourly rate and think that's a price, all you're doing is you're telling them basically nothing. Because they don't know how many hours it's going to take, and neither do you. So it's kind of like saying, 7. Well, 7 what? It doesn't make sense. And then if you give an estimate and you say, well, I think it'll be 100 hours and at my rate, which is $100 an hour, so it'll probably be about $10,000. And it's like, that's not a price. The client is forced to treat it like a price, and therein lies the problem. Because you can get to work, you can start getting to work, turn on the meter and be billing for your time, and then get 95% of the way into the project or the budget and find out you're only, you've just got 95% of the way to go. And at that point, the client is faced with a horrible sunk cost decision of like, do I cut bait here and basically fire this person because they obviously are incapable of estimating how long it's going to take to do something? Or do I keep going and hope that I don't run out of money before it's finished? It's terrible. Anyway, and for the seller, the person who's selling their time, there's no leverage in it. There's only X number of hours per year. Maybe you could build 2,000 hours a year. That's it. That's your top end. There's no way. Like, if you were going to try to double your revenue or income next year, it'd be impossible. There's like no way to do it. If you're already like maxed out billing 30, 40 hours a week, you've only got 3 ways to do it. One is work twice as much, and no one wants to do that. Next is double your hourly rate and try and get away with that. See how that works. Your current clients will be like, wait, you were $100 an hour on Friday and now it's Monday and you're $200 an hour? I don't think so. And attracting new clients is going to be really difficult because you're going to be way at the top end of your range for whatever the just one of many thing is that you do. And then the last thing is what most people do, and it can work, is to scale your hands, I would say, by hiring a bunch of junior mini-me's and mark up their time and try and do that arbitrage. And if you want to be a boss, that can work. But most people who do that I meet, they didn't want to be a boss. They just didn't see another way to create leverage. So what does that mean? It means they're a crappy boss. And all day long, they're doing stuff that they don't, isn't the thing that they wanted to do. Like, I wanted to do software development, but now I'm doing one-on-ones and writing job posts and dealing with payroll and all of this other stuff that, okay, now I got to outsource that. So now, you're just outsourcing. It can work. If you don't mind that lifestyle, it's fine. But I work with a lot of people who are like, well, I just want to code, or I just want to help people in this particular way, or I just want to take photos, or I don't want to be a manager or a boss. So how do I scale my business? And the answer is stop trading time for money.
My takeaway from this, and tell me if I'm off on this, what a surprise that silos are never a good thing, right? Because the pricing conversation like it's like pass and go in Monopoly. Like if you haven't done the first two steps, of course the third one's going to be really hard. But like if I'm positioned strong and I pass go, I move on to publishing. Like I actually have something unique to say, and then I go say it. Well, those two are really the lubricants, right, to having a better conversation about pricing because this person is different. Like I feel, and I'm curious to get your perspective on my business. Like my positioning, I'm out on an island by myself. Like, okay, there's Brene Brown, who I would call like the godmother of courage. I'm trying to do it from a business perspective, right? Like, and so I think with some leaders, you say courage, and it does not land. I'm okay with it because I'd rather find out faster that they're not for me, right? Let's not waste anybody's time,
right.
pun fully intended. But the ones that I do, they're like, oh, shoot, we do need to shift. We do need to change. Well, there's no change without courage, and there's no courage if you don't address the fear. And if you're afraid of something and you're suppressing it, right, you can pull the string all the way back. And then to your point, the publishing piece, the stages, the podcast, the blog posts. Now, when we get to the pricing conversation, we've already the use case is already there and why. Now it's about are you willing? Is that how you see it too? Like, do you walk in your coaching practice people through these 3 Ps?
Yes. Yeah. You need them all. And I actually have a Venn diagram you can share it if you want that has those 3 Ps and the overlap and the football shaped pieces of the overlap where you've only got 2 circles touching. There's like something wrong in each one of them. Like, if you just have, positioning and publishing, but you're not pricing, you're billing for your time, then you get no profit. And so you can look at the combination of any 2 and see what the problem is. And then the sweet spot is in the middle where you have all 3, and then you can deliver tons of value and charge for it while working less.
Oh, you had me at working less. Although I mean, this might start another fight between us.
Okay, good. I like fights.
I love what I do. Like I love working. Like I don't know if it's, I just posted something about this where it's like, do what makes you happy. Like I think that's a fallacy. I think it's like design a life to get to happy, right? And to me, happy is doing what I love and getting paid for it. So if I can genuinely speak my truth and I love it and I can monetize it, right? I was even talking about tough love. Part of my job on the coaching side now is, I'm sure you feel the same way. It's like, there's times when you have to deliver shitty news, but if you do it, it's not tough, it's tough love. You do it with the right intention because you're trying to help unlock somebody that can't get out of their way. Then that comes with the territory too. I know there's a lot. I don't know. Is there a question in here? I don't know if there's a question.
Yeah, that's my question. Yeah. So, I mean, we basically agree on all of that. I think there's some important nuances. Like, I was talking to my brother Matt about this recently, and he was like, "What do you think is like the best advice you ever got, or what was the worst advice you ever got?" It was one or the other, and it was actually something our dad used to say, and he said it to me in high school, which was like, "Do what you love, and the money will follow." And there were periods of time in my life, because I've had, I'm 53, so there's, yes.
Clarification. Is that the best advice you ever got or the worst advice you ever got?
So there's nuance to it, right? So there were times in my life when I was like, that was the worst advice I've ever gotten, because I've had so many phases where, in the first one, in high school, to someone in high school, I think that's actually great advice. It's not really actionable. But basically what he's saying, basically what you have to do and probably should do at that age is explore to see what you even like. You don't even know what you like. So, at the time I was obsessed with playing electric guitar. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I went to music school, I graduated from Berkeley. I was in a band. I lived in a van, the whole thing. And eventually I got sick of it. It paid garbage, as you could imagine. And at the end of it, if you had asked me right then, what did you think about that advice? And I remember thinking back then, I probably even said it to people, it's like, do what you love and the money will follow, but it also turns what you love into a job that you don't like. So it's like, oh, well, do you want to pollute it? So at that time, I was like, that was kind of crappy advice. But macro, I've been doing that my entire life, and it's paying off like crazy now. So you could argue that in the short term, it feels like it's failing, but if you don't stop doing it, then if you can keep doing it, then you end up, I don't, I like to call it funding the mission. Like, because I switched from a sort of self-centered income generation approach. And then when I switched in probably in 2016, I switched hardcore into coaching. And at that point, I was comfortable enough with the money that I was getting from consulting that I could really focus on delivering value instead of the inputs. Like, it took me a long time to make that shift. And once I did, I see it as I'm just going to write every day, and I'm going to podcast as much as humanly possible. And I'm going to fund the mission. I'm going to give people ways to give me money so I can keep doing it and come back tomorrow to do it. I don't have financial goals. I want to get in. This is an important point that you brought up. I want to get my week down to the minimum amount of work possible. But then that raises the question, well, Jonathan Stark, what do you consider work? I don't consider what we're doing right now work. This is like my social life. So, writing my email is the favorite thing I do in my day, every day, business-wise. So I would keep doing that if nobody was paying me. I would be terrified to stop doing that because it keeps my mind alive. So, I'll be writing something until I'm dead every day. So those two things, I don't call them work. They don't count as work for me. And people could say, oh, well, you're cheating, and maybe I am. But the things that I consider work are like the one-on-one deep dive coaching things where I really, you get drained. Like, it is draining, and it's transformational for the other person, but that's work. Like, that is work. So, if I was going to look back at my 2021, say I worked about 7 hours a week on average, because I'd have roughly 7 coaching students at a time, and they, or 10, and they meet every other week. So it's around 7 hours of real work. And the rest of the time, I'm just goofing around, having fun, writing stuff, and talking to cool people.
That's how I feel. It's a luxury. It's unfair. Like, even this, I would describe it as, it's kind of unfair that I get to have one-on-one conversations with people I respect. Like, I get to ask you questions, and permission granted if you want to throw something at me, and it's like we're all learning. And by the way, another reason why we get along. So my brother's named Matt as well. I don't think it's the same brother. However, the do what you love, that, I mean, again, I'm a lexiconist, so I love breaking open statements and words. And the key to that is the do, right? Like, the do is the action. And I think, to your point, the problem is maybe you did what you love, but you stopped, or it turned into, like you said, it turned into a job, and you don't love it anymore. And so if you keep doing the thing that you love, and maybe there's some way, put it an alarm on your phone as a trigger to ask yourself, do you still love this? And if you're doing it, like you said, it's gonna reap benefits, maybe not monetarily fully down the line or tomorrow, but that's how I feel too. It's like, I love being able to talk about courage. I love being able to hey, are you stuck, scared, still, or spinning? And which one are we addressing? And that is my do. That is my action. And there's total joy for that. All right, look, we're coming down the home stretch here. So give me the most courageous thing you've done in your career. And I just love to, is there one? Is there, I know the shine eventually, once you start to do it, you grow that muscle, and maybe the shine goes away. But in the moment, kind of viscerally try to go back to, was there the most courageous moment of your career?
So, this is a real letdown. So here's the thing. I'm pretty risk averse. Yeah, exactly. I'm fairly risk averse. I'm very, I look before I leap, but I don't get paralyzed with, my superpower is I know what I want to do. I always know what I want to do. It changes about every 10 years, but I know it. Like when I see it, I'm like, that is it. And that is a certainty that most people do not have, which I know from coaching people, almost nobody has that. So I can go all in on something. I can't not go all in on it. Like I know it when I see it because I spend all of my time researching it, learning it, taking it apart. Like it was like a Matchbox car back in the day of like Hot Wheels, taking it apart. How does this thing work? Oh, there's magnets in here. Cool. And so when I see something new, like right now I'm that way with crypto. I just can't stop reading about it and all of the things that are going on in that space. It merges my past of like art and music and value creation and coding. It's like all of this stuff I love. So it's super interesting. I'm like, wow, this is fascinating. So when I usually the leap I make is like, okay, at what point do I need to start funding this on its own and it's not a side thing that I'm just funding with my main job. So the courageous things I feel like are usually around publishing something kind of big. So like putting out a new book, that feels courageous. Working on a book feels courageous. Like that is where my main struggle is like working on a book and doing it every day. It's like that is the scariest it gets for me, like the fear, the resistance, all of that stuff. But I don't. I must be forgetting scenarios that are just, I mean, I didn't feel like quitting my job and going solo that took that much courage. I knew what I wanted to do and I knew it was going to be fine, so, and that's been most of my transitions. The hardest one was when I was ramping down my mobile consulting business and ramping up my coaching business, business coaching. That was a busy 18 months. It didn't take courage. It just took stick-to-itiveness and like focus. So,
yeah. Well, again, I think there's a lot in there. I mean, like, you're right. There's so many people, like that certainty that you talk about. I would just say clarity. Like you have clarity about what you're going to do.
Exactly.
And so how can you not be all in once you have that clarity? Well, and a lot of people aren't. Like a lot of people know what they should do and they feel it's the right thing and then they do nothing about it. And the leap, right? Like if you've done enough research, the leap for you is like, I have to do this. I'm doing this. I'm writing a book. This is hard. I'm going to do it every day. Bam. Okay, there's a book. That's how I felt about my book as well. But all right, take us home, man. Like, what you going to leave this group with? Some sort of, inspirational or not risk averse message that will lighten them up. Like, what do you got for this? People that would be listening to the Courageous podcast.
Yeah, I mean, just to tie the central theme together, the thing that will take the most courage is the positioning piece, because you feel like you're cutting off a whole bunch of opportunity, but you're exactly wrong. It's the exact opposite. So the positioning piece will take the most courage, but you need to become the one and only at a thing, then talk about it everywhere in a way that will help people who need to hear the message, and then package up your expertise in ways that people can fund your mission for you. So that's the, positioning, publishing, and pricing. It's really, I mean, the details are complicated, I guess, but it's simple. It's like, it's not hard to understand. It's like, those are the three things, but it's scary the positioning thing is the thing. I've had people start crying, like going through an exercise of like, well, what do you want to be known for? And they're like, I don't know, I can't pick. I can't make money at the thing that I want to do. Yeah.
How often do they figure it out?
I'm probably batting 300, 500, 700 maybe.
Hall of Fame numbers, really man. Hard. Hall of Fame numbers.
When someone nails it, when someone goes all in on a laser focused positioning statement, it's like the universe opens up to meet them. It's like, you'd think, oh, if you get too focused, it'll cut down the number of leads I get. It is the exact opposite. If you're the Michelangelo of snow, guess who's going to call you? Ski resorts, because they need their maps done. You could be you were a landscape painter yesterday, but today you're the Michelangelo of snow. And it's like, boom.
I am buying michelangeloofsnow.com right now. Like I'm actually
that's a guy.
Oh, curses!
It's a guy.
Yeah. I don't think I'm the Michelangelo of snow anyway. But Jonathan Stark, where can people find you? That you Like, talk to me. Is it a blog post? Is it a website? Is there an email you can share?
Yeah, the best place to get in touch with me is through my mailing list because I'm on it every single day. So if people want to learn more about value pricing, they can go to valuepricingbootcamp.com and figure out like how that's just one way to ditch hourly billing, but it's for people who are currently billing by the hour. It's a very interesting one. So you can check that out and just reply to any email that you get from me, and it goes right to my inbox.
Even though we did spar a little bit here, I think you're still on the podium of like favorite new people, and I really hope,
Thanks.
Dude, I really hope we can find, like, you know what? Let's find like a conference we could both go speak at, maybe in Vegas
awesome.
or somewhere, or Austin. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'll go to Des
Austin,
Moines,
please.
Yeah, but let's find a spot where we can like go have a coffee or a real drink. And thanks so much for coming on, and keep doing what you're doing. I root for you, and I've learned a lot from you. I love this positioning, publishing, pricing, and stay courageous. Even though you may see it as risk averse. I think those who are risk averse or courage averse, we're going to need a whole nother hour for that. Thanks for coming on, Jonathan. Take care, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me.